Hi, hello, hello. We have a new chapter of Boku no Hero Academia. This is chapter 247. It's called something. The title page is not at the start. Oh, status report. Sorry, I didn't notice that for a second. Status report. We're in Endeavor's headquarters. He's summoned our trio of UA students. He's supervising these boys himself, it looks like. And he'd like an interview from Deku and Bakugo. This could be quite a lot of fun. Very, very different people that he's ended up having work from. And of course, at the last chapter, we had a pretty shocking conclusion that he realized Hawks' secret message. He realized the tight time schedule set out before them. And I guess probably the reason he's allying with these UA students is because he may not trust any of the other adult heroes in his agency. It might be that he just thinks that these kids are too young to have gotten themselves involved with, working undercover for a gigantic revolutionary conspiracy. Seems understandable. We start with a single panel of what I believe is Todoroki's sister. That's his sister, right? I think. What are you working on now? Tell me what you want to achieve. I want control over my power and to have freedom of movement even while at max performance. Nice. And Endeavor remembers. You've got super strength that wrecks your own body, right? I discovered a method to manage it without hurting myself. Yeah. So Endeavor's memory of him, as is probably most pro heroes' memory of him, is just this absolute berserker kid who beat himself all blue and bloody, just trying to launch attacks, which indeed were extremely popular, but far away from Deku's kind of considerate, meticulous, nerdy, highly planning personality. I think most of the pro hero world sees him as like absolutely nuts, which is kind of accurate in its own way too. So yeah, probably a relief to Endeavor to realize that he's not walking around with some kid who's going to have to beat himself up every time he beats somebody else up. But I've reached a point where, how do I put this? Like a secondary power would manifest in a different form. So this is, of course, the weird black rope thing. By really focusing, I can just manage this much, but that's all I can handle for now. If I let any more out, I lose control. Okay. So this is kind of what we all expected. This is the state that we saw him in. Kind of in our first glimpse back at his development. So max performance, but what that means for this ability. True form of this one is more like a whip. I want to turn it from a liability into a real weapon. Apply some concepts from my other new move, Air Force. I should explain that one. So, Deku is just kind of like casually talking about this stuff, casually throwing it out there. And I think he's like totally right to do so. Of course, you want the people you're working with to understand what you're capable of, and provide any sort of advice that they can for his current challenge. But why is it Endeavor like, wait a minute? So your quirk is super strength that hurts yourself, and then your quirk is also weird black ropes of energy that come out of your hand, and then to be like, I've never heard of a quirk. Well, I guess there are some quirks that kind of have a duality to it. Like Todoroki's actually a good example. But it's like a very clear kind of genetic inheritance. And Todoroki's quirk is just kind of like, I can manifest and shoot both fire and ice. But it's like still just kind of one thing, like manifesting and shooting out and stuff, right? Like it's not like he can just, I manifest fire and then also I can jump like a frog. I manifest fire and also I can shoot bugs out of my fingers. Like it's there's still kind of one core mechanism behind it. So I don't know. I wonder what people think of Deku just being like pew black rope. What? Okay, so then he goes on at length. Holy crap, okay, this is amazing. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but this is brilliant. That they drew the speed lines in this page because something really fast is happening. And they have the motion blur on Deku's jaw. I don't want to read all of this. Yeah. We get it. It's funny they didn't just demonstrate this one. I guess because it's a lot more dangerous than just shooting out a little uh, black snake thing. Endeavor, Bakugo is pissed off. I like that Todoroki and Endeavor have like the exact same facial expression in response to this, of just like, okay. I think that's what they're thinking. It's just okay. He's analyzing himself, I guess. You're hoping to make that tricking balancing act feel like second nature. Yeah, yeah, Endeavor, I guess, in his own way, is actually very understanding, especially when it comes to kind of thinking about battle conditions and tactics and self-improvement in those areas. This makes sense. Even though he seems very callous, even though he treated Todoroki so harshly, he's still got quite a mind to him, of course. Ay, ay, ay. In terms of pure power, his quirk's comparable to All Might's. He's thinking back to his first encounter during the sports tournament. You suffered due to your quirk, so you're one of us. Yes. Now, this is quite a moving panel, you know, or a moving page. I really like this panel progression of Endeavor. I don't know, it's really cool how they draw him. That sometimes his flames feel so fiery, so intimidating, just this roaring, burning presence. And then in other situation, it's like kind of faint and poetic and just this kind of smoldering heat that feels sort of like a sumai watercolor ink painting. You know what I'm saying? It's like a really good aesthetic to match with a character with this sort of personality and this sort of conflict. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really impressed with this page, this paneling, and then this build up to this moment of you suffered due to your quirk, so you're one of us. So of course this is referring to the kind of motivation to breed. Well, I shouldn't put that in quotes. That's literally what they did, breeding Todoroki. Um, that having a fire quirk, but not having a way to actually resist the flames you produce, means that you're inherently just kind of suffering by using your quirk. So Endeavor, all the time he's using these flames and stuff, he's actually feeling that heat. We don't know the exact mechanics of it. Obviously, if he just felt the heat the way a normal person would feel that heat, he would have been dead a long, long time ago because there's fire on his face. But he can't just use it willy-nilly. And similarly, Todoroki, of course, when he was just using his ice half, struggled with overcooling, that he was freezing his own body with his powers, and thus the whole point of him is to use the fire powers to balance it out. And I like here when Endeavor says one of us. It's really cool because it seems like perhaps his whole agency is made up with people that have this downside, that have this kind of tragic flaw in the mechanics of their quirks. And we saw all sorts of like fire themed stuff, fire themed quirks and people. And I was like, oh yeah, this guy just loves fire. Like he's just hiring every fire quirk user he can. But I think maybe the connection is more that all these fire quirk users know that pain, that your power is also your pain. It's your weakness. Yeah. Okay, next up is you. Unlike him, I came to figure out what I can't do. Ooh. And of course, Endeavor's going to remember him from winning the sports festival. So his arrogance, although surely arrogant, big talk indeed, is not entirely undue. I'm serious. My explosion can pull off anything I want it to. I've only got that one quirk, but it's totally the strongest. Definitely a dig there at Deku with his like 9 quirks or whatever he gets to have. But then I learned that a strong quirk's not enough to make me the strongest guy around. This 4-0, no casualties. Strong don't settle for anything less. Oh my god, what a good arc that was. The A versus B. Oh man, I can't wait till they animate that so I can finally talk to my anime-only friends about it. To surpass number 1, I came to find out what I'm missing. Sure. I think Endeavor's probably quite interested by both of these kids in their own way. Bakugo's ambition is to the top, which is where Endeavor is, right? Yeah, this is quite... at first I was like, okay, yeah, it's the 3 main characters. We haven't really seen them so much lately, so this makes sense. But it actually makes sense on levels I didn't appreciate at the time too, that all of their dynamics kind of uniquely reflect one aspect of Endeavor and his struggles, right? He sees in Bakugo someone with a major attitude problem, who yet is also aiming for the very, very top. And can someone like this, who's so crude, who's so aggressive, who sometimes gets so caught up in proving his own power that he doesn't save the people around him, can that person really be a symbol of peace? And I mean, who am I talking about here? Which explosive, flamey man am I talking about? Ah, and then Todoroki and me. I mean, at first he's like, I want to just talk to the two of you. I don't know you that well. But he doesn't really know his son that well either. You're here to master Flashfire, Shoto. All the quirk training you beat into me as a kid. Put it into practice with my right side. Thinking back, it's no wonder since I couldn't escape my own hatred of you, and I got into UA. Competing alongside these two and everyone else really opened my eyes. Endeavor, after everything, I'm gonna do exactly what you always wanted. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. During the Sports Fest arc, he actually explicitly said, come work for me, right? And at the time, Todoroki is like, no. Screw you, I'm not going to use the firepower, I'm not going to work for you, I'm not going to follow your path. So now the fact that he's doing that exact thing, it's kind of neat because it was never explicitly said. Like, that moment was never explicitly recalled until now. It was just, you know, what Todoroki was doing. But if you understood, like if you remembered, I didn't, but if you remembered, you'd realize as soon as that this was announced that he'd be working for Endeavor, that this was actually like a very significant moment in his character. Please understand, the man I admire is the one Mom and I watched on the TV back then. Ooh. As a fledgling hero, in order to become a man worthy of the title, I came here of my own free will. I'm here to use you for my own reasons. Sorry, this isn't going how you want, number one. So let's stop that father-son crap in front of my friends. Ooh, oh my gosh, I like this. I really like this. Because I've been pretty impressed so far with this kind of redemption arc for Endeavor. That, you know, most of the first things we learn about him paint him in a very, very negative light. And they're not too eager. They're not too easily going to just be like, he was a good guy. He had his reasons. You know, because he did some pretty horrific things. The scalding of his mother, the rejection of all the flawed kids, this bizarre quirk eugenics project that he undertook in the first place. Like, those are things that I don't want to see written off trivially. And I was worried that when father and son started working together like this, that it would just kind of quickly gloss over that ugliness and be like, yeah, together again. Endeavor and Todoroki. But no, they're really making a point here. Like, well, they're making kind of two simultaneously conflicting points. One, they're saying, no, that hasn't happened yet. It's not going to be easy. But I think in doing so at the beginning of this arc, they're kind of promising, by the end of this arc, we will get the kind of reconciliation and forgiveness that we're looking for. And since there's kind of setting that out as a goal for this entire arc, I would imagine, kind of given the story positioning of it. I'm confident that they'll do a nice, satisfying job. That it won't just be quick and easy, but that it'll actually be very emotional and involved, and probably involve some sad flashbacks and stuff. So yeah. I don't know. I see a lot of potential in this one promise. As a hero, this Endeavor guy is pretty darn amazing. But I'm not ready to forgive you for abusing Mom. What sort of dad are you going to be? That's what I want to find out. Yeah. He said all this before, and the fact that they're carrying all of that into this arc, I think is good. It's not taking the easy way. It's not reducing these guys down to just their powers and heroics and stuff. Since he was willing to come here, I thought the boy's heart was open and ready to accept me. What a fool I was! I had it all wrong. Yeah, exactly. And I was kind of worried that was the case too. But no, he's more resolute than probably ever before, the line that he's drawn between him and his father. Be watching over you three as a hero. Rescue, evacuation, battle. People come to heroes for those three basic things. Normally when a hero sets up an agency, he decides whether to emphasize rescue or battle, one or the other. My agency isn't picky, we tackle all three. Gotta know your home turf like the back of your hand, so you can pick up the smallest disturbance. Gotta get to the scene faster than anyone, keep damage to a minimum. If civilians get close, blast some heat to make them blast back off. He was acting like normal hero like for quite a while there, and then blast some heat to make him back off. I don't think that's the All Might method. In fact, we've seen the All Might method, and it's charmingly, with a smile, asking civilians to please uh, stay at a safe radius from the incident, not get out of here. That's your starting point. Keep all of that in mind while acting at top speed and make those processes your MO. Okay, so this is kind of cool. We're really getting into the meat of heroics, just something we've kind of seen occasionally throughout the series, but never as kind of the central role. Normally we go from this to kind of the specific incident quite quickly, but we already had that one kind of standalone adventure with that crazy cultist guy and his glass power. So I'm kind of hoping this arc takes it slow, that we're sort of in this scenario for quite a while, and that we get some more episodic everyday heroics. I think that would be really cool, and it feels like they're emphasizing that sort of thing. Parallel processes, basically. Think about your building up as you go. UA, it's effort, and here it's experience. You need a mountain's worth, so your job is to conquer that experience barrier. This winter, show me that you can just once beat a villain faster than me. Okay, so I really think they are going to go this route, that we're going to have, and this makes sense to me too, because before this we had a very, very long villain-centered arc, right? That was all about specific villainous enemies and scheming and the larger world and such. And of course this arc will eventually tie back into that, but I like this idea of it starting kind of like more, almost like one of the classroom arcs, where it's more, the stakes are lower, it's about just kind of like personal achievement and victory and growth. The villains are probably not going to be as huge a focus. It'll be more about how they're resolving the situation. Yeah, this sounds like fun. This sounds, and we sure could use some fun in this series. I've always marveled at this mangaka's ability to balance some pretty intense dramatic type stuff with like just the most joyous shonen fun that you could ever watch. So I think swinging the pendulum back towards that excitement and adventure of a bunch of heroes doing hero stuff would be a nice change of pace after revolutionary political theory and some of the most brutal backstories you can imagine in a shonen magazine. Kid dusting his own dog, for goodness sakes. Okay, all right. Let's see next week what happens next. Bye bye.